second gfxheaven video tutorial. This one is going to be a bit different because we're going to be dealing with animation here, and we're going to be using Adobe After Effects and as well as a bit of Photoshop. Basically, I'm going to show you how to do this really effective, effect, but it's actually fairly easy and quite straightforward, quite quick. It can be used in documentaries and all the rest of it. I used it in a little film I made. You can find it on our Vimeo channel if you want to look at that. Basically, it can be, it's a map of Europe, and then the swastika, it spreads through, kind of like what the Nazis, just can be used as a nice effect. Quite worrying. I'm not promoting any kind of neo-Nazism here or anything. It's just could be any flag. Okay. Okay. So first things first. Basically, how I did this, how I got the swastika to go through the continent and not the sea, was by taking a map of Europe here. I took any map of Europe. Basically, how I made this is I got a map of Europe. I cut out the edges, using the lasso tool or whatever, and I gave it its own textures, gave it a nice gradient. It has to be dark colours for the way I'm doing it. There are a million ways you can do this, but the way I'm doing it requires that be a dark black or brown colour. Now, what you have to make sure is the bits that aren't continent, the sea, has to be nothing, void of any kind of data. So how we're going to do this is save it as a PNG. So when you go to save as, you save it as a PNG there, so that Adobe After Effects is able to recognise that has nothing behind it, and that will be totally transparent. So that's how you get the transparency and how the flag will come through only the continent. We're also going to need a swastika picture, okay? So that can be a JPEG, doesn't really matter. There it is. So go to After Effects. How we're going to start this is we're going to go to Composition, New Composition. Choose whatever size you want, doesn't really matter. Okay, that's a bit ridiculous. That's widescreen, Jesus. New Composition. And I don't know actually. It's fine. Sorry, it's just the way I've got my window stretched, I think. Oh well. Now this grid thing I've got here is actually just title action safe. I can turn that off just now. First step is first step actually is make a new white solid. So you're going to go to Layer, New, Solid. Pick white from the colour. Make comp size. Okay. Now you've got a white background. Now, obviously, the version you saw had a black background, but we'll deal with that in a minute. We're going to bring in our Europe continent. So I'm going to go and find mine. If you want to bring in your Europe or map or whatever it is you're using, go to Import, File, and then just find it. I'll bring in my Europe here and put it on top of the white solid so that you can see it. Fits nicely, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Just position it, wherever you think's best. So that's my map of Europe. Now I'm going to bring in the swastika. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Swastika JPEG. We're going to put the swastika into the layer palette, but we're going to put it behind our map of Europe here. Okay, I'll explain that in a minute. We're going to use layer blending modes to deal with this. Position it roughly about where you want your swastika to be. I want mine to be about there. Okay. Now we're going to use this toggle thing here. This toggles between layer modes and switches. You're going to want the layer modes, blending modes. Okay, so go to your Europe layer and select Stencil Luma, and as you can see, you can only see the swastika through the Europe, through the parts of the continent, because that's dark. It's inverted it because I said make that dark. It's inverted it. It's been light. Now the swastika is showing through all the Europe parts. But obviously, as you can see, it's a bit dark. I mean, what? It's awful dark. It's not right, is it? Now to deal with this, we're going to select our Europe layer, go to Effect, Color Correction, Curves, and bend that upwards like that. Even more. There we go. So now you can see, it's brighter. We can see everything here. I don't like how big that is. Strange. Well, get rid of that. Now that you've got this all brightened up, God, it's a mess. Okay. Now that you've got this brightened up and you can see your swastika, what we're going to want to do now is work on the animation, how it starts from nothing and spreads through Europe. That's the bit we're getting to. Okay, so what we're going to do is select your swastika layer here, go up the top, click on this, down, ellipse tool, and just drop that wherever you want it to begin. I think about there is good. So now all you can see is what's within this mask, this circle. So we're going to go down here, we're going to go to the mask. Now the mask expansion, we want it to start off about that size, so we're going to put a keyframe there, Move the scrubber along a bit, put another keyframe, but this time make the expansion bigger. So click and drag that to, for my size, about 596 for it to fill the whole thing. So the difference in time between these two keyframes will see a change in size of the flag. Also, this doesn't look very good at the moment either. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a mask feather. That softens the edges. Put that to about 40, 43, that looks quite good. So as you can see there, nice and soft. We don't want it to start from a circle either, because that won't look very good. So we're going to hide the mask at the moment. On the swastika layer, go to transform, put the opacity down to 0 at the very beginning, put the scrubber to the start, put a keyframe, move along a bit, put a keyframe, and put the opacity up to 100. That way, the thing grows and becomes more visible at the same time. So the difference in time between these two keyframes will see a change in opacity. It will go from 0 to 100. 100, not 99. There we go. So that way it grows. So that's you got your grow. Now the last thing left is to make the ripple, to make it look like a flag. So highlight your swastika layer, go to Effect, then Distort, then find Ripple, and in your Effect tool thing here, we're going to want to fix this up. We're going to put the radius up a bit. Okay, put that to about 21. Now, the wave width and all that, we want to be a bit bigger, because we don't want the waves to be too short, because that way it will look ridiculously artificial. So, make them make the width a bit bigger. And we're also going to want, adjust the center, wherever you want the middle part to be. And the radius we want up to, we don't just want the middle part to be getting distorted here, we want the whole flag. So, you can keep fiddling with this. Your flag will be of different dimensions than mine. So let's just see how that looks. A bit artificial at the moment. You want to try and make it look... make that really big. There you go. You want your wave width to be quite large so that the waves don't look artificial. There you go. So now that animates on itself. We don't use keyframes. We want that that animation to remain constant throughout the whole thing. So I'm going to press spacebar here. I'm going to watch it. And as you can see, our mask is taken into effect. It's making it go bigger. All this time, our animation is going. And because we've got the Europe layer on Stencil Luma, that will only show through where the continents are. This is a useful effect. This looks really good in any videos you might want to make. It just looks really neat. This is an example of how versatile Adobe After Effects is. Okay, and how you save this, I don't want to be patronizing here, but you go up to the top, you go to Add to Render Queue in Composition, and then your composition will appear in the render list, and if you want to render it, you check the little box, you click Render. Your render settings are in here. Down here is where you pick your format and all the rest of it. So once you do that, that will render, save it to wherever you want, and you'll have your video. Like this, if you've made a version of your own, show it off on gfxheaven.net. Show us what you made. Come on, there's more tutorials on the forums there. So check that out, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks a lot.